guys, and welcome to today's TutPad tutorial. We'll start off by preparing the document we're going to work on. Here I have a Freepik document I downloaded from the website, so we'll go to File, New, and create a document that we'll call 3D Mobile Phone. Make it 1000 by 1000 pixels, okay? And now what we'll do is copy the front part of this cell phone with Ctrl-C or Command-C. And now the document's been created, Ctrl-V to paste. In the alignment panel, we'll align to artboard. If you don't see this option, then you need to click here to show more options. And we'll place it right here in the middle. So create a new layer. And we'll copy the other part of the cell phone with Ctrl-C again. The back part. And Ctrl-V to paste. As you can see, it's pasted to the same layer. So Ctrl-Z to undo that. Then on the second layer, Ctrl-V again to paste. There we go. Make sure it's centered. So I'll name this one in front. Okay, and I'll name this one behind, the back part of the cell phone. And between these two, I'm going to add another layer. We'll Ctrl-V to paste again, making sure it's in the middle. Then in the Pathfinder panel, we select Unite. And we're going to change the fill color to black. Now I can't do this because the original Freepik file was created with this gradient you see here. So I need to go to the Appearance panel. And there I can select the fill and then I can choose black. There we go. So I've got the back part here, behind. This middle part I'll name Extrude. So this layer is going to help us add that thickness to the cell phone and make it look 3D. Okay, and then we've got the front part of the cell. We'll now move over to After Effects. So right-click here to import a file. Although before this we need to save what we've just done, so I'll go back and do that. Save as. We'll put 3D mobile phone. Okay. Back to After Effects. Then we can import the file. So we'll double-click on our file. Set the import kind to composition. Leave the footage dimensions on layer size. Okay. Now double-click on the file, and here we have our cell phone. But we still need to make it 3D. So first what we'll do is change this here to 2 views. And as you can see, the top view at the moment looks the same as the active camera view, because obviously they aren't 3D layers. So we need to click here on Toggle Switches, and we'll select the Draft 3D for these 3 layers here, like this. And now you see how it's changed. As we zoom in, you can see that on the in-front layer, well, this is wider than the other layers, even though they're actually the same size. Okay, so why is that? Well, I've done this so you can see that sometimes when you create a file in Illustrator, even though the dimensions look like this, well, if we press Ctrl-Y in the in-front layer, okay, Ctrl-Y, you see that there are some elements here that you can't see on our original file. These might have been used to create some kind of effect, like a gradient, for example. But this won't be a problem for our project at all, so you don't really need to worry about that. So what do we need to do? The in-front layer needs to be brought forward. So we'll bring the Z-axis a little bit forward. And we then need to push the behind layer back around here. We'll right-click, New Camera, okay. Then in the camera options, we're going to rotate so we get this effect you see here, like this. And we can now see that it looks a bit more 3D. Although here it looks like it's hollow, right? So we'll set this to full. so you can see what I mean. The thickness of the cell phone will just depend on how far away I place the back of it, the behind layer. If I put it here, we can then fill it in with the extrude layer. But I'm actually going to put it around here, more or less. So in extrude, what we'll do is press Ctrl D to duplicate it, move it back a little on the Z axis, and then we'll just go like this successively, pressing Ctrl D, duplicating and placing behind, until all this space is filled, like that. Okay? Great. Now switch the view to just one. And now if we look in the camera, you can see that we have this 3D effect already. And it wasn't really very difficult. I think it was quite simple. Now it's time to move on to the animation. So let's get rid of the camera. Now we'll right click to create a new composition that we'll name Animation. I'll make it 1920 by 1080 pixels, duration of 7 seconds, 29.7 frames per second. Okay. Now I'll right click here and I'll select New Solid. And I'll change the name to Background. Okay. Then go to Effect, Generate Gradient Ramp. We'll set the start color to a gray, something like this. Yeah. Okay. We'll make it a radial gradient. And then we'll place this gray at the bottom, like this. And then we'll put this white over here. Now lock the background. And now we need to place this 3D cell phone file inside our composition here. And then here we have it ready to animate. So if we right click here and select New Camera, we'll see that we can't modify anything. And that's because we need to add the 3D layer switches here. But it's very flat, right? It doesn't look very 3D. So to see that 3D effect we created, we need to right click here on Collapse Transformations. Okay, this one here. So we'll click that and there we go. Now if we zoom right in, we lose quality. Can you see? So what can we do about that? Well, we need to first return to our 3D mobile phone composition. And we'll select Collapse Transformations in the behind layer. Same for the in front. And then when we go into the animation, we can see that the quality is now much better. For now, we're going to deactivate these options, okay? Just so the processing is faster. So we'll get rid of this camera. Delete. And then we'll begin with our animation. So firstly, we'll go to the transform options. And we'll add a keyframe to the scale, another on the Y rotation. There we go. At the beginning, we'll set the scale to 355%. And now you see how all these adjust at the same time, right? And that's because the constrain proportions option is activated. We'll now go to second 1, frame 5, place another keyframe on the scale there. This one we'll set to 85%, and we get this effect. For the Y rotation, at the beginning, we'll set it at minus 30 degrees. When it gets to second 1, frame 5, we'll then put it down to 0 degrees. And then we get this effect that you see now. Now we'll move on to second 2, frame 10. And here on the rotation, we'll put 355 degrees, making it turn around like this. And then on second one, frame 25, set the scale to 120%. So let's have a preview. We'll set this here to half, so we get a quicker preview. And there we go. So that's what we have up to now. But using the graph editor, we're going to improve this animation. So let's go to frame 25. I will add another keyframe to the position. And now we'll move right the way down to second 5. And here we're going to adjust the position on the x-axis, which is this one right here, 580. And then when we preview, we have this. So select all the keyframes, right-click, Keyframe Assistant, and Easy Ease. We need to adjust the scale, okay, to make it a quick animation. So click on the first keyframe we have on the scale, and we'll go into the graph editor. Make sure you're in the Edit Speed graph. So let's adjust this anchor point here, around here, like this. Press down Shift at the same time, so it doesn't move. So it moves in a straight line. We'll move this other point this way. And like this, we're going to start with a quick animation. So let's take a look. This is what we have. And after this, on the Y rotation, okay, we have this. So we'll leave this curve as it is, but right on this turn, we need to make it a little bit faster, okay? So we're in this edit speed graph, remember? Let's click here on this anchor point, move it this way, almost to the middle. And then when we preview, we get this effect. Let's have a look from the beginning. And there we have it. Now on the position, we can create a similar effect to the rotation. So more or less adjusting it like this. And see how on second 2, frame 10, the curve should be like this, okay? So let's take a look. Okay, we'll exit the graph editor. And we're going to create a few more keyframes. So go to second 5 and set the rotation to 380 degrees. Okay, so we'll put it in and see that when we do that, we get a 1x and a plus 20 degrees. So 1x means that it turns all the way around, so 360 degrees, and plus 20, that's 380. So preview to see how it looks. I think that's great. Maybe we could adjust the position slightly, like this. Okay. Let's have a look. Before we carry on with the animation, what we're going to do is create the text that will appear. So we'll click on the text tool and type in here, how to create. Now I'm using the Verdana font in bold. Then I'll click here to select toggle mask and shape path visibility. And I'll increase the font size to 77 pixels and we can convert it into a 3D layer. Using the pan behind tool, we'll move the anchor point over here like this. Okay, Control Z to undo that, because we could also do this here in the paragraph window. So if we click on left align tool, we'll move this a little more to the center. In the transform options, we're going to adjust the position. So we'll put 795 here. And 305 on the y-axis. Press Ctrl D to duplicate. Move the text down on the y-axis. And we can change this text to 3D mobile phone. I'll keep the same font, but I'll change the size to 65 pixels and I'll make it regular. So just adjust it to around here. Ctrl D again to duplicate. I'll move it down like this. Then we'll change this text to Illustrator and After Effects. And I'll change it to italic and the size to 38 pixels. We'll zoom in so we can move it around here like this. Using the pan behind tool, we'll move the anchor point to around here. Now we're going to create a very basic animation on the y-axis of the rotation. So selecting these 3 layers, press R on your keyboard for the rotation. Go to second 2, frame 10, and there we'll add a keyframe to the Y rotation. Press U twice so we can see this animation. And now we need to adjust the time, so for it to start around here. Now we'll go forward 1 second, so to second 3, frame 10, and there we'll add another keyframe. Then we'll go to the beginning and we'll remove the eye from this 3D mobile phone composition. And what we'll do here is a movement that goes back, okay, like this, right until we can't see it. This is around -90 degrees. Select the 6 keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Once selected, then go to the graph editor. And then we'll go to the edit value graph. Select the keyframes down here. Okay, there are 3. We'll grab this point here and move it up like this. And that gives us a bounce effect. So let's preview. Okay, you see there that little bounce at the end. Now we need to adjust this layer at second 2, frame 25. So we'll move it right here. And the next one at second 3, frame 10, here. Let's take a look. There we go. Okay, let's bring back the cell phone. But when we preview, we have a slight problem there. See how they overlap? So we could try and put it at the top, like this, but the problem is still there. This is because we need to adjust the Z-axis. So let's just set it to 2 views. And here we can see where the text layers cross over and the animation of the 3D cell phone. So what do? Well, we need to select these 3 text layers and then just move them back a little, like this. On the Z-axis, press S for scale, and we'll increase that slightly to 105. And why do we do that? Well, because when we adjust the Z-axis, it looks smaller. So now when we preview, the problem is solved. Let's set this back to 1 view. And there we have the animation now. So I think it's looking pretty good. The next step is to make the cell phone and the text disappear. So in 3D mobile phone, press U. Okay, U here to see the keyframes. Go up to second 6, frame 25. And on the position, we'll add a keyframe. And on the X-axis is where we're going to make it disappear. I want you to just observe something here. So inside my animation, we have this straight line. So we want to make this go like this. But if you look here, this line has appeared on the left, see? So we'll set the x-axis to 2200 on the position and see now how the line gets longer. And now see how this has modified the animation. So it goes quite a lot to the left. See? And it's created a curve right here, which we need to get rid of. So we're going to right-click on this keyframe and select Keyframe Interpolation. In Spatial Interpolation, we'll set it to Linear. Okay. And now we should have got rid of that curve. Let's take a look. At second 6 frame 25, we're also going to adjust the rotation. So we're going to remove this 360-degree turn by placing 0x here and minus 145 degrees. So it goes around like this. But we're also going to make some adjustments in the graph editor. So we'll go to the Edit Speed Graph. Now the position is like this. So we'll go to the Y rotation and move these points more or less to about here. So we want the animation of the rotation to be quick at the beginning. So preview, and there we have it. Maybe we could adjust it a little bit more. We'll adjust the position a little bit also. Okay, like this. Preview, and we get this effect. Great. Let's take a look at the whole thing. Now remember, you can make more adjustments in the graph editor if you like. It's up to you. Now we need to also make the text disappear. So we'll select the three texts, go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and we'll name this composition Text. Around this area here, we're going to make a rectangle. And with our text composition selected, we'll click to create a mask, like this, more or less. In Mask, add a keyframe to the mask path, and we'll move it forward like this. Another keyframe here, and keep going forward. Okay? Another one here. Actually, we don't need these first two ones, so we can get rid of those. And right when it starts to turn, around here. Okay. So we'll go to this mask, press Ctrl-T, and we'll now make it smaller. And see how a keyframe was automatically created here. So we'll move forward again, Ctrl-T, make it smaller. Again, the same. And as we go along, you see that keyframes are automatically created. And here now you see we can't see the text anymore. Let's preview. Okay, so here there's a slight problem. It disappears before it should, so we'll do another keyframe here, and we'll see how another one is created automatically. So let's test it out. Ctrl-T again to move forward. Okay, again. Okay, let's just preview it again to make sure it's now okay. Yep, there we go. That's great. the very last thing we're going to create is a flare effect. So we'll right-click, New Solid, and we'll name it Flare. If we make it white, then we'll see that there is a problem. So go to Effect, Generate, Lens Flare. And can you see that nothing appears? So we need to change the color of the solid to black. Okay. Set the type to 105 millimeters prime and the brightness to 50%. But as you can see, we can't see our animation like this. So we need to select toggle switches, and then we'll set the mode here to add, and now we can see it. This point here is so that we can animate the flare. So we're going to place it around here. Put 225 on the x-axis and 165 on the y-axis. Now you see how this point has moved right here. At second 0, we'll add another keyframe. Now at second 6, frame 25, we're going to place it around here. Okay, press U. And now you'll see that when we drag this circle, a new keyframe is automatically created. So let's take a look. And there we have our flare. Remember that you can adjust it depending on your own preferences, so it doesn't have to be exactly the same as me. Maybe I'll put it a little bit higher. So let's set the view to full. Going back to the beginning, remember that if we want optimum quality from the Illustrator file, then we need to go into this composition and select the collapse transformations like we did at the beginning. We can select it here for behind and then also for the in front. Now this is possible because they're vector images. So now when we preview, the quality is great. So I really hope these techniques I've shown you are useful and you can apply them to your own projects. Like I said, you could use them to create a promo or a video to advertise an app, for example, using an Illustrator file that you can then animate. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for another TipPad tutorial. Bye!